Isaac Babel was born in 1894 in Odessa. His book, Red Cavalry, consists of 35 stories based on his experiences and observations during a time of war between Russia and Poland. Argamak is the last of the 35. These stories are in part shaped by Babel's unique perspective as a sensitive Jewish intellectual who was also a member of the Russian Cossack army at war. This story is about the things you want and about what you really want, and the sort of Zen-like insight that sometimes you get what you really want when you no longer want that thing. To give just a few notes that might be helpful, Balin is the name of the Nakdiv, or commander, of the squadron of which the narrator is part. Tikhomolov is also a member of this squadron and is also referred to as Pashka. Finally, Bezyukov is a Cossack who is also a member of Balin's platoon. Argamak. I decided to move to the front. When he heard of this, the Nakdiv made a wry face. "Why poke your nose in there? As soon as you open your mouth, they'll shoot you as a counter-revolutionary." I got my own way. Not only that, my choice fell on the most bellicose division, the 6th. I was appointed to the 4th Squadron of the 23rd Cavalry Regiment. The squadron was commanded by a locksmith from the Bryansk factory named Balin, only a boy. As a warning to others, he had grown a beard. Ashy tufts twisted on his chin. At the age of 22, Balin let nothing bother him. This quality, proper to thousands of Balins, was an important element in the triumph of the revolution. Balin was firm, laconic, obstinate. The path of his life had been decided. He had no doubts about the rightness of that path. Hardship came easy to him. He was able to sleep standing up. He slept pressing one hand with the other, and when he woke up, the passage from oblivion to wakefulness was not noticeable. To expect mercy under Balin's command was out of the question. My service began with a rare foretokening of success. I was given a horse. There were no horses, either in the army stables or among the peasants. Chance had a hand in it. The Cossack, Tikhomolov, had killed 2 captive officers without permission. He had been entrusted with escorting them to brigade headquarters, for officers might be able to give important information. Tikhomolov did not take them that far. The Cossacks decided to try him before the Rev Tribunal, but then decided not to. Squadron Commander Balin imposed a retribution more terrible than the tribunal. He took Tikhomolov's stallion, nicknamed Argamak, away from him and sent Tikhomolov himself to the transport wagons. The torment I endured with Argamak very nearly surpassed the measure of human strength. Tikhomolov had brought the horse from the Terek, his home. It had been taught the Cossack trot, the special Cossack full gallop, dry, frenzied, sudden. Argamak's stride was long, stretched, stubborn. With that devilish stride, he carried me out of the ranks. I would become separated from the squadron, and, deprived of my sense of direction, I would wander around in search of my unit for whole days and nights thereafter, end up in the enemy lines, spend the night in a ravine, try to attach myself to other units and be told to go away. My war experience was limited to service in the German War in the artillery division of the 15th Infantry Regiment. Usually, this entailed sitting in solemn state on top of an ammunition wagon. From time to time, we rode in a gun team. There was nowhere where I could have got used to the hard swinging trot of Argamak. Tikhomolov had bequeathed to his mount all the devils of his fall. I jolted like a sack on the stallion's long, dry back. I wore out his back. It became covered in sores. Metallic flies fed on these sores. Hoops of coagulated black blood girdled the horse's belly. Because of clumsy shoeing, Argamak began to overreach. His hind legs swelled up at the fetlock and became elephantine. His eyes were suffused with the particular fire of a tormented horse, the fire of hysteria and obstinacy. He would not let himself be saddled. "You've annulled that mount, Four Eyes," said the platoon commander. In my presence, the Cossacks said nothing. Behind my back, they got ready in the way that plunderers get ready, in somnolent and perfidious immobility. They did not even ask me to write letters. The cavalry had taken Novograd-Volinsk. In a 24-hour period, we were having to cover 60, 80 versts. We were getting close to Rovno. One-day rests were practically non-existent. Night after night, I had the same dream. I was tearing along at a trot on Argamak. There were fires at the side of the road. Cossacks were cooking their food. I rode past them. They did not raise their eyes to me. Some greeted me. Others did not look up. They were not interested in me. What did it mean? Their indifference signified that there was nothing special about my manner of sitting in the saddle. I rode the way everyone else did, and there was no reason to look at me. I galloped on my way and was happy. My thirst for peace and happiness was not quenched when I was awake. That was why I had these dreams. There was no sign of Tikhomolov. He was keeping an eye on me somewhere on the edges of the march, in the sluggish tail ends of wagons stuffed with rags. One day, the platoon commander said to me, "Pashka keeps asking after you. Why does he want me?" Apparently he does. I suppose he thinks I have offended him? Well, haven't you? Pashka's hatred came to me over forests and rivers. I felt it with my skin and shivered. Eyes suffused with blood were fixed upon my path. "Why did you give me an enemy?" I asked Bowlin. The squadron commander rode past and yawned. "It's no concern of mine," he replied, without turning round. "It's your concern." Argamak's back would heal a little, then open up again. I put 3 cloths under the saddle, but the ride was not right. The wheels did not heal over. The knowledge that I was sitting on an open wound nagged at me. One Cossack from our platoon, Bezyukov by name, was a countryman of Tikhomilov's and knew Pashka's father down there on the Terek. His father, Pashka's, Bezyukov said to me one day, breeds horses for the hunt. He's a perky rider, a plump chap. He arrives at the herd, has to choose a horse straight away. They lead them in. He stands in front of the horse, puts his legs apart, looks. What do you want? Well, what he wants is, he waves his massive great fist, gives the horse a belt between the eyes, and the horse is out of the game. What did you nobble the horse for, Kalistrat? When I go out on my terrible hunts, he says, that sort of horse wouldn't be any good to me. That horse didn't come up to my hunting standards. My kind of hunt, he says, is a hunt to the death. A perky rider, and no mistake. And so it was that Argamak, left by Pashka's father in the land of the living, chosen by him, came into my hands. What should I do next? In my mind, I turned over a large number of plans. The war saved me from my worries. The cavalry attacked Rovno. The town was taken. We spent 2 days and nights in it. The following night, the Poles pushed us back out. They gave battle in order to bring out their retreating units. The maneuver was successful. For cover, the Poles had the assistance of a hurricane, lashing rain, a heavy summer thunderstorm that capsized on the world in floods of black water. We evacuated the town for 24 hours. In this nocturnal battle, the Serb Dundic fell, one of the bravest of men. In this battle, Tikhomilov also fought. The Poles swooped down on his transport. The spot was flat, without cover. Pashka lined up his wagons in a battle order that was known only to him. The Romans probably used to line their chariots up in a formation like that. Pashka, as it turned out, had a machine gun. He must have stolen it and kept it hidden away for such an eventuality. With this machine gun, Tikhomilov beat off the assault, saved his property, and withdrew the entire transport, except for 2 carts whose horses had been shot. Why are you keeping the men hanging about? People at brigade headquarters said to Bowlin a few days after this battle. If I'm keeping them hanging about, it must be necessary. Watch out, you'll get trouble. Pashka had not been pardoned, but we knew he would come. He arrived in galoshes and no socks. His toes had been chopped off. Ribbons of black gauze hung from them. They trailed after him like a mantle. Pashka arrived in the village of Bidyatichi on the square in front of the church where our horses were standing by the tethering post. Bowlin sat on the steps of the church, steaming his feet in a tub. His toes had begun to rot slightly. They were pinkish, the pink of iron at the beginning of tempering. Tufts of youthful straw-like hair stuck to Bowlin's forehead. The sun burned on the bricks and tiles of the church. Bezyukov, who stood beside the squadron commander, stuffed a cigarette into the other man's mouth and lit it. Tikhomilov, trailing his torn mantle, walked toward the tethering post. his galoshes slapped. Argamak stretched out his long neck and neighed a welcome to his master, neighed softly and shrilly like a horse in the wilderness. On his back, the ichor snaked like lace between the bands of lacerated flesh. Pashka stood beside the horse. The dirty ribbons lay motionless on the ground. So that's the way it is, the Cossack articulated, barely audibly. I stepped forward. Let's make it up, Pashka. I'm glad that the horse is going to you. I can't cope with him. Let's make it up, shall we? It's not Easter yet to be making it up. The platoon commander was rolling a cigarette behind my back. His oriental trousers were spread out, his shirt unbuttoned on his copper chest as he rested on the church steps. Give him a triple kiss, Pashka, muttered Bezyukov. Tikhomilov's countryman, who knew Kalistrat, Pashka's father. He wants to give you one. I was alone among these men whose friendship I had not succeeded in obtaining. Pashka, as though rooted to the spot, was standing in front of the horse. Argamak, breathing powerfully and freely, stretched his muzzle to him. So that's the way it is, the Cossack said again. He turned sharply towards me and said steadily, I'm not going to make it up with you. Shuffling in his galoshes, he began to walk away along the limey, heat-scorched road, his bandages sweeping the dust of the village square. Argamak went after him like a dog. The reins swung under his muzzle. His long neck lay low. Balin was still rubbing the reddish iron rottenness of his feet in the tub. You've given me an enemy, I said to him, but how am I to blame? The squadron commander raised his head. Go on. All right, I will. I understand you, the commander interrupted. I understand you completely. Your aim is to live without making enemies. Everything you do is aimed that way, so you won't have any enemies. Give him a triple kiss, muttered Bezyukov, turning away. On Balin's forehead, a fiery spot was imprinted. His cheek twitched. Do you know what the end of this is? He said, unable to control his breathing properly. The end of it is boredom. Go away to the Ragged Mother. I had to leave. I got a transfer to the 6th Squadron. There, things went better. Somehow or other, Argamak had taught me how to sit in the saddle the Tikhomilov way. My dream was fulfilled. The Cossacks stopped following me and my horse with their eyes.
Good job.
Yay! Oh my god, that was sad.